There's a reason you've always felt out of rhythm with the rest of the world. A reason you react faster, feel deeper, sense things before they unfold. A reason your mind refuses to move in straight lines and instead fires like lightning, branching across the sky. People call it a disorder because they can't comprehend a system built for higher sensitivity and rapid perception. They label what they don't understand. They fear what they can't control. But you were never meant to operate on their frequency. Your mind is not defective. It's a different species of awareness. It's an antenna picking up signal most people are too numb, too dulled, too domesticated to notice. You notice everything. Shifts in tone, vibrations in the room, patterns hiding beneath chaos, intentions behind people's eyes, future outcomes flickering at the edges of your awareness, like shadows predicting the storm. It's overwhelming when you don't know what to do with it. It feels like a curse when there's no structure to ground it. This is why your thoughts scatter, why you pace, why you panic, why your energy feels too big for your own body. But here's the truth no one tells you. You were built like this on purpose. You were given more channels, more intuition, more emotional bandwidth, more perceptual data, not to suffer under it, but to wield it. ADHD isn't about distraction. It's about saturation. Your mind doesn't wander because it's weak. It wanders because it's taking in too much, too fast, all at once. And when all those signals collide with no organized output, the result feels like internal chaos. That chaos isn't failure. It's raw energy waiting to be forged. Your hyperfocus isn't obsession. It's trance state concentration, activated when something aligns with your purpose. Your restlessness isn't immaturity. It's kinetic potential, begging for direction. Your emotional intensity isn't volatility. It's sensory accuracy turned to maximum volume. But no one taught you how to use it. They only taught you how to suppress it. Sit still. Focus harder. Follow directions. Calm down. Be normal. Normal was never the assignment. Normal is a coffin for minds like yours. You weren't designed to follow. You were designed to detect. You weren't meant to copy. You were meant to create. You weren't wired to blend in. You were wired to see what others don't before they see it themselves. That's your advantage in business, in relationships, in creation, in strategy. Your intuition is a compass. Your sensitivity is a radar. Your rapid thinking is an early warning system. But raw ability without structure is like a blade without a handle. Powerful, but dangerous to carry. So the first step is claiming your nature instead of running from it. Not trying to fix your mind, but building a system around the reality of who you are. Because when you stop fighting your wiring and start designing your world to work with it, everything changes. Suddenly your sensitivity becomes clarity. Your intensity becomes momentum. Your hyperfocus becomes productivity. Your intuition becomes strategy. Your restlessness becomes drive. And all those symptoms they warned you about become the very traits that give you an edge. But you must take responsibility for your gift. You must learn to train the storm inside you, not cage it or numb it. You create a structure that carries the weight, so your intuition isn't drowned in noise. You break your visions into small, sharp actions, so execution becomes possible. You regulate your emotions, so your radar stays accurate instead of distorted. You engineer urgency, so your brain wakes up instead of drifting into fog. You anchor your actions to a purpose so powerful your mind can't ignore it. This is how your extrasensory mind becomes dominance instead of chaos. You stop mistaking overwhelm for weakness. You stop apologizing for seeing too much. You stop shrinking your intensity for people who can't handle it. You stop treating your sensitivity like a flaw instead of the gift it is. Because once you understand what your mind truly is, once you stop believing the lies you were fed and start building the world you were meant to operate in, you become something rare. A person who sees deeper, feels sharper, and moves faster than the average mind can comprehend. A person who reads a room before they enter it. A person who predicts outcomes before they're visible. A person whose intuition becomes a business tool, a creative weapon, a strategic force. A person whose chaos turns into capability, whose intensity becomes identity, whose sensitivity becomes strength. Your mind is not small. It is not quiet. It is not gentle, but with structure, discipline, urgency, and purpose. It becomes unstoppable. You don't need to be normal. You don't need to fit the mold. You don't need to silence your nature. You need to harness it, direct it, shape it, train it, unleash it. Because your mind was never broken. It was untamed. And now, it's time to take the reins. Before we move into the steps, there's something you need to understand. Insight alone changes nothing. Awareness without action is just another form of paralysis. You can know your wiring, feel your power, sense your potential, and still stay exactly where you are if you never channel it into motion. This is the turning point, the place where the message stops being philosophy and becomes a blueprint, where everything chaotic inside you gets translated into something you can actually use, where instinct becomes a plan, where perception becomes strategy, where sensitivity becomes execution. Because the mind you carry is extraordinary, but without structure, it scatters. Without direction, it overloads. Without purpose, it spirals. So now we shift from the storm to the architecture, from revelation to construction, from understanding your gifts to weaponizing them. These next 5 steps are the framework that will take everything wild, fast, intuitive, and overwhelming inside you and forge it into something controlled, deliberate, and devastatingly effective. Let's carve the path. Step 1. Construct the framework that holds the storm. Before you can harness the advantages of an ADHD mind, the intuition, the speed, the sensory depth, you must build something most people never need. A framework capable of stabilizing that storm, not restricting it, not restraining it, but containing it so it can be directed with precision instead of exploding in every direction. Because let's be honest, your mind doesn't fail you. It overwhelms you. It generates more ideas, signals, impulses, and awareness than your internal system can hold at once. That's why the first step isn't about discipline or motivation. It's about architecture, creating an external structure strong enough to carry what your brain produces. Think of your mind as a high-voltage current, powerful, relentless, alive. Without proper wiring, it shorts out. With proper wiring, it lights entire cities. Your external systems are that wiring. This means you must stop relying on memory, willpower, or trying harder. Those are traps, black holes that consume your energy and give nothing back. Instead, you anchor everything outside your head, so your brain can finally operate the way it was designed to. As a sensor, a strategist, a creator, a hunter. This looks like a visual schedule that shows you your day without forcing your brain to assemble it. Boards, lists, or maps that make your tasks visible, so they stop haunting you from the shadows. Routines that eliminate unnecessary choices and free your mind for real work. Timers and alarms that initiate momentum, so you don't have to manufacture it manually. A workspace stripped of noise, designed not for aesthetics, but for cognitive clarity. These aren't crutches, they're infrastructure. They're the scaffolding that lets you build skyscrapers instead of patching collapsing walls. Most ADHD suffering comes from a single conflict. Your mind generates far more than it can internally organize. You don't lack ability, you lack containers. You don't lack intelligence, you lack systems. And the moment you build those external supports, everything changes. Your intuition gets room to breathe. Your insights stop disappearing. Your focus becomes easier to access. Your extrasensory abilities stop flooding you and start guiding you. Even your emotions stabilize because your world is no longer a maze. It becomes a map. Understand this. Structure is not the opposite of freedom. Structure creates freedom. It frees your brain from holding everything at once. It frees your energy to be spent on creation, not containment. It frees your intuition to operate without chaos, dragging it underwater. Without structure, your gifts feel like curses. With structure, your gifts become superpowers. This step is the foundation of everything that follows. Without it, your power stays scattered. With it, your potential becomes something you can finally control, and eventually, something you can weaponize. You're not building a cage. You're building a command center. This is where the storm begins to take shape. This is where your mind stops drowning you and starts serving you. This is where your transformation truly begins. Step 2. Convert the noise into precise tactical movements. Your mind receives the world in full volume, not in neat linear order, but as a flood. Ideas, warnings, insights, possibilities, emotions, patterns, all crashing in at once. This is your gift. This is also why you freeze. You're not paralyzed because you can't think. You're paralyzed because you think too much, too quickly, and everything arrives stacked on top of everything else. 1,000 signals. No hierarchy, no sequence. Just psychic noise, demanding to be acted on all at once. This is why step 2 is the key to unlocking all your extrasensory advantages. You must translate the storm into small, tactical actions that your brain can execute right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Not when the situation is perfect. Now. This is the art of breaking reality into pieces your mind can dominate. Because the ADHD mind can enter hyper-focus on command only when the next step is painfully clear. Not vague, not conceptual, not figure it out, but concrete, obvious, doable. Here's the truth. Big tasks overwhelm you, not because they are hard, but because they are undefined. Your brain can't lock onto a cloud. It needs a target. So you turn every mountain into gravel. Build the website becomes open the platform. Choose a template. Write the first headline. Grow the business becomes send one outreach message. Fix one offer section. Post one piece of content. Transform your life becomes drink water, clean your workspace, complete one 10-minute sprint. Massive visions collapse under their own weight. Mini actions trigger momentum. And momentum is everything for a brain like yours. Once you start moving, your focus sharpens. Once you sharpen, the noise quiets. Once the noise quiets, the intuition comes back online. Once intuition comes online, you become unstoppable. This is why the 2-minute rule is lethal for ADHD. If you can start in under 2 minutes, you eliminate the greatest barrier, initiation. This is also why time sprints activate your hunter mode. A timer creates a window of pressure, a micro deadline. Your brain sees the countdown and snaps awake, turning the fog into clarity. But the real magic comes from one question. A question that pulls you out of overwhelm and into precision. What is the smallest physical action I can take next? Not the full plan, not the perfect version, not the logical sequence, just the next physical move. One step, one action, one strike. Because your mind isn't built to climb mountains. It's built to take rapid steps on steep terrain. Small movements unlock big momentum, and momentum transforms overwhelm into power. Remember, your intuition is a compass, not a to-do list. You feel the direction? Step 2 turns that feeling into motion. You are not meant to carry the whole vision at once. You are meant to execute one sharp movement at a time and let the path reveal itself through action. This is how the noise becomes signal. This is how the chaos becomes clarity. This is how an extrasensory mind becomes a weapon, not a burden. You don't conquer the storm by thinking harder. You conquer it by moving, deliberately, piece by piece, in the smallest possible increments. This is the step that turns your power from potential into progress. This is where your mind stops overwhelming you and starts obeying you. Step 3, sharpen the inner radar. Emotional mastery plus nervous system control. Your mind doesn't simply think, it detects. You pick up micro-expressions, tone shifts, atmospheric tension, subtle patterns, hidden motives, and future outcomes long before they materialize. This is your extrasensory radar. It's powerful, almost too powerful. And when that radar is untrained, it becomes your enemy. Instead of clarity, you get chaos. Instead of intuition, you get anxiety. Instead of foresight, you get spirals. Instead of awareness, you drown in noise. Because a sensitive radar without calibration picks up everything. Threats that aren't real, emotions that aren't yours, signals that get twisted into fear. This is why step 3 exists. You must learn to steady the instrument before you can trust the signal. You must regulate your emotions so your perception becomes accurate, not distorted. You're not too emotional. You're receiving more data than the average person. You're not overreacting. You're reacting to a storm you haven't learned to navigate yet. Your nervous system is not fragile. It's overloaded. So step 3 is about mastery, not suppression. It's about learning to command your inner state, so your extrasensory abilities sharpen instead of scatter. Emotional regulation is your targeting system. Without it, every noise feels like danger. With it, you start telling the difference between instinct and insecurity. When your nervous system calms, your intuition becomes razor precise. You stop mistaking fear for guidance. You stop absorbing external chaos as internal truth. You stop reacting to ghosts your mind generates under stress. Your radar becomes clean, quiet, deadly accurate. This is how you train it. Short daily breath work or mindfulness. Not to be zen, but to reset your internal frequency. 5 minutes is enough to pull you out of fight or flight and into clarity. When your nerves calm, your perception sharpens. The interruption ritual. When a surge of emotion hits, you don't spiral, you intercept it. A slow inhale, a longer exhale. This one action flips your brain back into control. Labeling your emotions. Name what you feel, and the intensity drops by half. Frustration, fear, overwhelm. Naming it separates it from who you are and turns the threat into information. Sensory resets. Cold water, stepping outside, grounding touch, silence, brief movement. Adhd burns through bandwidth fast. Resets empty the buffer. Strategic breaks. Every 60 to 90 minutes, step away. Your mind processes more data than most people. If you don't clear the load, you overload. Respect for your emotional depth. Not judgment. Not shame. Understanding. Your emotional intensity is not a flaw. It's part of your supersensitivity. Your job is to regulate it, not fear it. When your radar is trained, everything changes. Your intuition becomes trustworthy. Your sensitivity becomes insight, not instability. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding strategically. You predict problems earlier. You navigate conflict with eerie precision. You read people with accuracy that feels supernatural. You make decisions aligned with your mission instead of your fear. A calm ADHD mind doesn't lose its intensity. It concentrates it. Your emotional storms become lightning bolts instead of tornadoes. This step isn't about being peaceful. It's about being powerful. Calmness is not softness for you. It's clarity, accuracy, and control. When you master step 3, your inner world becomes quiet enough for your extrasensory abilities to guide you with precision. Your mind becomes an instrument, not a battlefield. A compass instead of a whirlwind. A tracking system instead of a trap. This is where your intuition stops screaming and starts speaking in a language you can finally understand. Step 4. Forge artificial pressure and external expectation. Awakening the hunter mode. A mind like yours doesn't wake up for comfort. It doesn't ignite for routine. It doesn't activate because it would be good to get ahead. No. Your mind comes alive when something is at stake. When there's movement in the air. When a deadline approaches. When someone is counting on you. When pressure crackles like electricity under your skin. That's the hunter wiring. The ancient circuitry inside you that was built to respond to urgency, unpredictability, challenge, and pursuit. But in the modern world, there are no predators. No hunts. No life or death moments to trigger that primal switch. So your brain sits idle until chaos or crisis forces it into activation. That's why you snap into action at the last minute, why you can produce miracles under pressure, and why everything feels flat until the stakes spike. Step 4 teaches you to stop waiting for crisis and manufacture the conditions that switch your mind on. This isn't manipulation, this is mastery. You create urgency on command. You craft micro deadlines that spark adrenaline. You impose short windows of focus, 10 to 20 minutes, that mimic a real chase. You set visible timers that tell your brain, move now. You break tasks into sprints that feel like missions, not chores. This is not about stress. It's about activation. Your brain responds to countdowns. It responds to pressure. It responds to the thrill of the chase. So you build your workflow to include it. You design accountability like a battlefield partner. ADHD thrives when someone is expecting results, when eyes are on you, when promises are made, when updates must be delivered. So you engineer external expectation, a partner waiting for your progress report, a team depending on your next move, a friend or mentor checking in on deadlines, a public declaration that sharpens your reputation, a group that witnesses your consistency. Accountability isn't weakness, it's architecture. It's a trigger. It's an ignition source. It puts skin in the game, and your brain responds to skin in the game like a war drum. You turn your work into a game you must win. The ADHD brain doesn't obey routine. It obeys reward and challenge. So you weaponize that reality. You create scorecards, point systems, streaks, levels, consequences, dopamine-driven micro rewards. This isn't childish. It's neurological engineering. It turns monotony into competition. And competition is what your hunter mode understands instinctively. You shape your environment into an activation zone. You craft rituals that snap you into readiness. Music, lighting, scents, a countdown, a workspace setup. You build context cues that tell your brain, this is where we pursue. This is where we hunt. This is the battlefield. Environment is not decoration. It's programming. When the world around you signals activation, your mind follows. You give your actions consequences that matter. Your brain does not move for should. It moves for meaning. So you attach every mission to something with weight. The future version of you observing your choices. A financial impact. A reputation you refuse to tarnish. A life goal you refuse to abandon. People who rely on your strength. A vision that burns in you too bright to ignore. Consequences fuel urgency. Urgency fuels focus. Focus fuels execution. The deeper truth, ADHD is not a struggle with attention. It's a struggle with ignition. Your engine is powerful, but refuses to turn over without pressure. Step 4 gives you control over that ignition. You stop waiting for chaos to push you into action. You stop depending on emergencies to perform. You stop letting crisis dictate your best work. Instead, you learn to pull the trigger yourself. This is how you awaken the hunter without waiting for the threat. This is how you use pressure without being destroyed by it. This is how you harness adrenaline as a tool instead of a trap. When you master step 4, you don't chase motivation. You generate activation exactly when you need it. This is where your mind becomes not reactive, but commanded. Step 5. Fuse your life to a mission that your mind cannot ignore. If the first 4 steps build your structure, sharpen your radar, and ignite your drive, then step 5 is the gravitational force that holds your entire world together. Because everything you build will collapse. Every system, every routine, every streak, every burst of discipline. If you don't anchor it to something that hits you at the level of identity. Your mind does not obey logic or obligation. It obeys connection, meaning, resonance, destiny. The ADHD mind is fueled by what matters, not what makes sense, not what should be done, not what others expect of you, but what strikes you in the chest like a signal from another lifetime. This step is about finding that signal and tying your life to it so tightly that boredom, distraction, and fear lose their power over you. You must claim the purpose that has been stalking you. You know what it is. You felt it for years. That pull, that idea that won't die, that image of who you could become that shows up in flashes. When you're alone, when you're exhausted, when everything feels like it's falling apart. That's not fantasy. That's direction. That's the future trying to speak to you through the static. Step 5 demands that you stop running from it. Ask yourself, what version of you is trying to break through? What dream keeps returning no matter how many times you bury it? What impact feels like it was carved into your soul long before you were born? What would you chase if you removed fear from the equation entirely? Write it. Declare it. Own it. Purpose is the ignition key your brain has been waiting for. Next, you tie every action, even the smallest, to that mission. Your mind needs context. It needs meaning baked into the mundane. A calendar isn't just a schedule. It's proof of your discipline evolving. A cleaned workspace isn't tidiness. It's constructing the headquarters of the identity you're stepping into. A single 10-minute sprint isn't productivity. It's you sharpening the blade of the future you refuse to abandon. A difficult task isn't work. It's a ritual of loyalty to the version of yourself you're becoming. Purpose reframes everything. When you attach your mission to your actions, resistance evaporates. The ADHD mind stops drifting because its compass has finally been set. Then, you become accountable to your future self. Every night you ask, did I act like the person I'm becoming today? You're not chasing perfection. You're chasing alignment. When the answer is yes, your brain lights up with clarity and pride. When the answer is no, you don't spiral. You correct. Because each day becomes another vote cast in the direction of your destiny. And here's the part most people never understand. A mission doesn't calm an ADHD mind. It aims it. It channels the intensity. It stabilizes the emotional storms. It gives meaning to your sensitivity. It transforms impulsivity into movement. It converts hyperfocus into progress. It turns your extrasensory perception into strategy. Purpose is not soft. Purpose is not poetic. Purpose is the hardest steel in your entire system. With purpose, your mind becomes a blade. Without purpose, it becomes shrapnel. Purpose is the final form of regulation. A mission that feels true quiets anxiety. A mission that feels true crushes distraction. A mission that feels true ends procrastination. A mission that feels true fights your battles for you, internally and externally. When you know why you're moving, the how becomes automatic. A meaningless life is impossible for someone wired like you. Your sensitivity demands direction. Your intuition demands alignment. Your energy demands a cause worth bleeding for. Purpose is not a luxury. It's your neurological anchor, your spiritual compass, your psychological stabilizer. This step is where everything you've learned stops being effort and starts being identity. When you master step 5, your actions stop being random. Your focus stops being fragile. Your emotions stop being overwhelming. Your intuition stops being confusing. Your life stops being reactionary. You become someone who moves with intention, with instinct sharpened and direction locked in. A person who doesn't just sense the world deeply, but bends it. This is the final transformation. Not a mind that drifts, but a mind that aims, strikes, creates, conquers. Purpose is the throne your mind has been waiting to sit on. This is the step that turns your wiring into destiny. This is the step where your life finally aligns with the person you were always meant to become. And now, you stand at the edge of something irreversible. Not inspiration, not motivation, but a shift. The kind you don't come back from once you've seen yourself clearly. You've unraveled the truth of your mind. The sensitivity, the intuition, the chaos, the power. You've learned its mechanics, its storms, its signals, its weapons. You've seen what happens when you stop treating your wiring like a malfunction and start treating it like a force of nature. But knowing is worthless without embodiment. Understanding means nothing without action. Potential is meaningless until it becomes movement. This is the threshold where you decide whether this becomes another moment you let fade, or the moment that rewrites your trajectory. Because now you're armed. Structure as your armor. Precise actions as your blade. A trained radar as your sight. Engineered urgency as your ignition. Purpose as the fire in your chest that never dies. You're no longer stumbling through life half blind, battling a mind you thought was working against you. You see now, it was never the enemy. It was the untrained beast inside you, pacing behind the bars, waiting for the day you were strong enough to unleash it. That day is now. No more apologizing for your intensity. No more shrinking because others can't comprehend your depth. No more letting the world define you by limitations that were never yours to carry. You are not meant to fit into the structure. You are meant to build the structure, shape the world, direct the energy, command the storm. This is the part where people either rise or return to who they were. And you are done returning. You are done dimming. You are done pretending not to feel the power pushing inside your bones. You know what you are now. And with that knowledge comes responsibility and a promise to sharpen instead of scatter, to pursue instead of postpone, to align instead of drift, to live as the future version of yourself, not the echo of your past. The path is in front of you. The steps are carved. The structure is ready. The purpose is calling. All that's left is the decision and the willingness to become someone you can no longer hide from. Rise, move, act, build, transform. Your mind was never broken. It was waiting. Now it's time to answer.